Alright, this is the start of 9.1 after we go through the terms for null and alternative hypothesis. We have a few more terms to look at. We have something called the p-value, which is pretty much the probability that measures the strength of evidence against the null hypothesis. And what you want to do is assume that null hypothesis is true, and we'll actually go through that in a problem in just a second. The second thing we're going to have is a significance level. Usually it's 0.05 if it's not given the problem, and what you're going to pretty much do is if your p-value is less than your significance level, then we're here where it's statistically significant. Okay, so a significance level is kind of like a cutoff. If anything that's above 0.05, then we don't have enough evidence to reject the null hypothesis, but if we have something that's less than 0.05, that means that the probability of something happening and our null hypothesis is true is really highly unlikely by chance. However, if it's above our significance level that we set, then it could have happened by chance. Alright, so we have significance level, and the way that you'll see this is using the Greek letter alpha. And here, notice significant. It only means not likely to happen by chance and not important. Okay, so in English class you probably think of significant as something that's important, but with us in AP Stats it's just not likely to happen by chance. Alright, I want to go over a problem with you guys before we actually do something that's on a worksheet. So here's an example. I make 80% of my free throws. So one thing that we can go ahead and write down is our null hypothesis is the percentage that I'm going to make is 0.80. Okay, so that's my null hypothesis. The evidence that we have, I went and shot 20 free throws, I only made 8. So knowing that I only made 8 out of 20, that gives me evidence that maybe I don't shoot 80%. So my alternative hypothesis is, well, I'm going to say I shoot less than 80. Alright, so what we want to figure out is how often will I make only 8 out of 20 free throws if I really am an 80% free throw shooter? How likely is it that it happened by chance? So we have to figure out what's the probability that I shot less than or equal to 8, okay, out of 20. One thing that we can do is actually, this is a binomial situation. We have a set number of tries. We have 20 free throws. We have a proportion that we make every single time, or we think that we make every single time, is 80%. And we're going to see about 8. So this is, you can actually use our calculator. Since it's less than or equal to, we're going to use CDF. So we have 20 trials. We're going to see how many times, what probability would we get if we actually make 8 or less. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in. Alright, so second bars, option B, we have 20 trials, 0.8, and then 8. Alright, so 1.01 times 10 raised to the -4th power. So I'm going to move that decimal over for us. Okay, that's the probability that we'll get 8 or less free throws made if I truly am a 80% free throw shooter. Okay, that's a really low probability. So the probability of doing that by chance is really low. So since it is really low, we have enough evidence to go ahead and say that it's highly unlikely that you shot it by chance. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write an outcome that would really happen if the claim is true. Alright, because it has a probability of 0.0001. Therefore, we would reject the claim or reject the. Alright, so this is And it's not going through all the steps that we have to go through for our AP exam, but it's just an intro to what you'll see for the rest of Chapter 9.